as well. So can everybody hear us? If you can, go ahead and type in that chat there and just let us know that you can hear us. All right, great. I'm getting a yes. Fantastic.
Right.
Welcome everyone to the Leave Me Alone webinar. It's being presented today by Sarah Nesbitt, our awesome media mentor, and she is going to lead us through how to get off robocall lists and adjust privacy settings and all that great stuff. Just so you know, you are muted, but you can ask questions in two different ways. There's the chat box, which you're all chatting in right now, saying I hear you. That's great. There's also the question and answer down at the bottom. It's called Q&A. Feel free to open up questions in there as well. And either way, we will go ahead and have Sarah answer those questions as they come up. So Sarah, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I've been so excited about this. This is officially our first official online class, Zoom class with the media mentors. And for those of you that might not know what a media mentor is, we have a dedicated group of library assistants and librarians throughout the district that specialize in everything digital, anything that has to do with gadgets. During these odd times, we are still available for one-on-ones via a phone call, or if we can figure out a way to social distance, you can bring in your device. It's just the media mentors can't really touch it. But we are still available. And again, just thank you so much for being here tonight. Much appreciated. All right, so welcome to Leave Me Alone. I still love to say that. Okay, what we're gonna do today is learn how to curtail robocalls. And unfortunately, I wish I could teach you a way to completely stop them, but it's gotten to be so problematic. Stopping them completely is pretty much impossible, but I can tell you how to curtail them. We're also going to be talking about enabling privacy settings. A lot of people feel that privacy settings is just something that you do with your email or something that you do on your computer. Actually, there are layers of them everywhere, and I will roadmap you where you can start to set privacy settings. We also want to gain an understanding of why privacy settings are important, why just general privacy is important, especially in this crazy day and age. We're also going to talk about the benefits of having a junk email, and I'll go into more detail on that. We're also going to go into why you should be changing your passwords very frequently, at least once a quarter. Especially with important information like banking, etc. I'll get more into that too. And then we're just going to establish a quick little to-do list to do at your own pace. Now, I know I'll be throwing a lot at you tonight, and we're going to try to keep this to me yammering for 45 minutes maximum, and then I'm going to have some extra time at the end for questions and answers. Before we really get going, I'd like to thank Kristen, my lovely producer. Thank you, Kristen, for being here tonight and helping us all out. All right, so first off, we want this class to be informational, and we are not here to scare you. Like, I'm not here to give you nightmare stories about getting hacked. Believe me when I tell you, all of the attendants tonight, you're in really good company. You are in extremely good company. I also want to encourage that evolving technologies encourage consumers to maybe rethink old habits. And those technologies are continually evolving. And privacy is just something that you're going to have to stay on top of as more and more, our world becomes more and more digital. Also, you have lots more control than you think. It's just kind of getting once you have a scope of privacy settings and just settings in general, you have more control than you think. Also, this class is designated to educate and give you simple tips on how to look after your privacy. Again, so we're not here to tell horror stories or scare you. All right, let's start off with the dreaded robocalls. The actual definition is a telephone call from an automated source that delivers a pre-recorded message to a large number of people. Now, I need to get into a little bit of detail about how robocalls are generated these days. It used to be just people, you know, cold calling a batch of numbers. It used to be an actual person. That's not really the case anymore. These are all the auto dialer. If you look in just right here, it works in conjunction with the internet. So basically a computer is calling you. It's not a person anymore, which is, yes, an enormous drag. And that is sort of one of the reasons why robocalls have ballooned, just absolutely ballooned to the ultimate drag in which they are these days, especially during election cycle. But that is another entire mess that I am not going to go near tonight. All right, so basically, these are voice over internet protocol phone calls, and that's why you're getting so many of them. All right, it's also a mix of caller ID spoofing. Given the way or the technology behind those internet phone calls, they sometimes pick up and spoof a number that actually exists. For example, when I really started researching this portion of our class tonight, I actually went online and just input a bunch of numbers that I was planning to block. And actually one of the numbers was a pharmacy in Aspen. So these creepy companies can actually pick up, you know, different numbers, put another layer of technology over them, and use someone else's number. I'll get into blocking here in a little bit. It's gonna make you feel really good, blocking all these guys. All right, what you can do. Colorado specifically has a no-call list, and then there is also the national do not call registry. Here are those phone numbers and websites. What you want to do is just be on your phone when you go on these websites, or you can call the registry directly, the national one, but you're going to want to be on your phone so you can input your number and make it recognize your device. But this is the best place to start. Now, unfortunately, once you get on both of these, you're gonna see a fewer number of calls, but it is not going to completely eradicate them. But I guarantee you guys, before I got on both of these lists, I was receiving up to 15 robocalls a day, or spam calls. They're basically the same thing. And since I have been on these for over several months now, I'm lucky if I get two calls a day. So this can really, really help curtail you guys getting bugged. All right. You should also really talk to your carrier because AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile might have apps that are specific to your phone's model. For example, my Samsung here has its own sort of built-in blocking app. But I also have another layer or another app that cuts down on them as well, and it actually recognizes a potential spam call, and I'm going to get into those as well. But the best place to start is figure out what you have on your phone, and then maybe give your carrier a call and get a recommendation from them about another app or a feature that might be specific to your carrier. This can help tons as well. All right, get familiar with your block feature. Ugh, blocking nasty phone calls feels really, it's immensely satisfying. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Get familiar with the blocked feature on your specific mobile device. You can try YouTube tutorials for this if you feel like you need something a bit more visual. But YouTube tutorials, this is like one of 3 times I'm gonna recommend a few YouTube tutorials that are probably gonna be specific to your device. All right, so get familiar with your block feature. Here are some apps that are also really helpful, and they're an extra layer of protection that helps recognize what these apps are gonna do is they're actually gonna show instead of the incoming phone number, it will say telemarketer, it will say spam risk, it could be any kind of play on those words. So you can immediately either ignore it or let it ring. There is a lot of debate going on these days, and I've conducted a little experiment over the past 3 months or so about letting the call go through, and even if it's an unfamiliar number, and see if there's a voicemail message that's left. If they left a voicemail message and they're a spammer, that's illegal. If you're a robocaller or a spam telemarketer, you cannot leave a voicemail. So anyone who does not leave a voicemail, immediately block that number. Hope that makes sense. Hope I'm not going too fast either. All right, so here's a few. I really like Haya. I just think it's so kind of snarkily delightful. Haya is really good. RoboKiller is excellent too. Should I Answer? Truecaller and Calls Blacklist are just a handful of the ones that I found that have extremely, extremely good ratings. So you might want to think about adding any of these apps to your phone. All right, so what can the government do? Technically, these are happening with such frequency. It's really tough to nail down, but there is an item called the Traced Act. It's the Telephone Robocall Abuse Criminal Enforcement and Deterrence. Blech. It's a handful, which is why they call it Trace. It's where the FCC can levy a $10,000 fine per call to people or companies that ignore telemarketing rules. And they recently upped the window. FCC would have 4 years to enforce the rules versus the existing 1-year window to prosecute the big offenders. And it requires, this also requires AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, any of those carriers to adopt call authentication technologies. That's why one of the first steps I recommend is to ask your carrier how they can help you. All right, we had a huge win this summer. In July this year, the Supreme Court found that neither political consultants or debt collectors can actually do unsolicited robocalls to American cell phones. Now, a little bit of background here. The American Association of Political Consultants argued that it limited free speech, which is why it went all the way to the Supreme Court. Maybe a good point. Obviously, we're all, we're free speech proponents, but the court found there was too much potential for large-scale fraud, which technically is un-American. They found it un-American. Federal law prohibits anyone from calling a cell phone to transmit a recording message. They also reinstated that, or re-emphasized that as well. So there was a big win this summer. That was really nice that was a great headline to see this summer. All right, so let's just go through sort of the basics on why an invasion of our privacy bugs us so much. Here's why privacy matters. It's a limit on power. It's also respect for individuals. It's also your reputation management. It also maintains really good, healthy, appropriate social boundaries. It's also a trust thing, and it's control over your life and the way you are seen, way your digital presence is seen. It's also freedom of thought and speech, freedom of social and political activities, ability to change your mind, have second chances, and never really having to explain or justify yourself. I think a lot of people sort of take a lot of these items for granted, which is why I just like to, just discuss privacy overall. All right, this PII is the information that you should be holding as close to the vest as possible. This is your personal identifiable information. By the way, before anyone asks, that is a bogus Colorado driver's license. She doesn't exist. I had to ask permission for it. But it's your social security numbers. It's your personal identification numbers. It's passwords, passcodes, official state or government issued driver's license, your passports, biometric data as well. If any of you use facial recognition to unlock your phone, that is biometrics. Employer, student, or military ID numbers, and any financial information. These are the big guns that your banks take very seriously. The Colorado DMV takes very seriously. This is the important stuff. Okay, a lot of people really don't like the idea of biometrics, but it's an interesting technological option but it's your call. And what it is it's the process of identifying and verifying people based on their unique biological and oh my God, there's a typo. Apologies, sorry. Biological and unique behavioral features. So your finger, if you unlock your iPhone with your fingerprint, that's an example of biometrics. Anyway, if this is something you want to do, it is your call. I just personally consider it a little creepy, and that's less, the features of my face are not something that I want boiled down to data for, and I will go into why here in a bit. Okay, so let's get started on just a few things that you can do to start out. You want to really focus this on privacy settings that are specific to your phone, not necessarily, your operating system and your phone's operating system. There are ways to do this with Android. There are ways to do this. Here is just a quick, breakout of how you can get to Androids, like my account. You can set a PIN. There are different ways to lock your phone as well. There's a find the phone feature, as well as something similar with iOS or Apple. So what you really want to get down to, or what you really want to play around with first, are the privacy settings that are specific to your device. This also helps with blocking pop-up ads, preventing tracking, and ways that your phone can specifically not track you or track what you are searching for. A quick tech tip, go to YouTube, say tech tip YouTube number 2 tonight. Try a tutorial specifically on your device. Like, just go to YouTube and say, hey, Samsung Note 10 privacy settings tutorials. Take a tutorial and really do a zoom around what's available on your device. So this is kind of step 2 about where to get started. And I understand that I'm throwing a lot at you. We are going to, I am going to round everything out and give you a checklist at the end. So you don't have to be scribbling furiously, but really you want to start with your phone itself. Okay, a lot of people think that there are just privacy settings when it comes to email and privacy settings that you might have at work. But there are levels of privacy settings that are everywhere. So I don't even think I need to ask how many of you have Amazon Prime accounts. Amazon has its own set of privacy settings. So maybe the next time you're in your Amazon account, start playing around with your Amazon privacy account. Obviously, your email, Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, everywhere there, they have their own levels of privacy settings, and especially with social media, social networks. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Tumblr, Snapchat, all of them have their own levels of privacy settings. If you have accounts for any of these things, try to break out a list, like maybe for a couple weeks, and just tackle one a day and really go in depth on your Facebook settings. Go really in depth on your Gmail settings. You are also going to want to add privacy settings on your web browsers, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, and even Firefox and Safari, because a lot of the ways that people really feel hovered on, and this is actually what led me to title this class. A lot of people don't want to be walking around or going grocery shopping and getting bombarded with ads because your location is revealing a place where advertisers like to send you ads. Or I don't know, before this whole COVID episode or pandemic started, how many of you have received notifications on your phone after going out for dinner tonight? Hey, would you like to leave a review of Von Tai, and your phone recognizing your location for that? This is the reason you have to set your privacy settings on your web browser, and that I guarantee once you get your privacy settings set on that, you're going to see far, far, far less of that. You're also going to want to do some privacy when it comes to music, and especially your mobile location services, okay? Once you turn it off, you do have to turn it back on, but once you get into the habit of doing that, it's really an easy habit to pick up. All right, let's talk a little bit about a term that you might know about or have heard about. It's called surveillance capitalism, and that is this is the primary reason why you feel like you're getting digitally bombarded and creeped upon. So surveillance capitalism is actually the monetization of the data captured through monitoring people's digital movements and behaviors online and in the physical world. I wanted to give you the techtarget.com, that logo down at the bottom. That is a brilliant site if you ever want a real crash course in surveillance capitalism. This is why it's getting to be so overlaying or just a feature of digital life. Money is why, but anyway, this is basically called surveillance capitalism, and it's just a term to be aware of, especially when it comes to privacy settings. All right, so let's get started sort of with the big thing, the main thing that I want you to take away from tonight is you really want to turn off your location history. I just went out on a limb and assumed that a lot of people use Chrome as their primary browser, but Safari is going to have something different. You want to go to your Google settings, your advanced settings, and I've got a little roadmap for you up here. But you're going to go into your Google privacy and security settings. Number one, you're going to want to clear your browsing data. And then you're going to want to turn off your location history. That is how you really can get hammered even moving around with people recognizing where your location is, because technically that's really nobody's business. Yeah, just can I get an amen on that? It's really no one's business, especially anyone collecting data for monetization purposes. So you have to turn off your location history. Getting into the habit of turning this off and on is really good, because if you use Google Maps a lot, you will have to turn your location back on. That's the only sort of caveat to this, but getting into the habit of turning your location off and on is going to be something really, really, really important. So you have to turn off your location history. I hope that made sense. Also, there are so many privacy settings to Amazon. I'm just going to go quickly into a few of them. You do not want your Amazon profile public, and it's automatically public. You're going to want to go in there and remove it if it is a public profile. You also can, if you've got Alexa, or if you, through Google, if you have Google Home, you can delete all of your Alexa and Google Home recordings as well. It depends on your device and your operating system. You can also make your lists private, like your browsing history. And what Amazon likes to do is look at your browsing history and then shove more up, up all under you for other purchasing options. There's a way to cut down on that. So you can stop Amazon from tracking your browsing, and you can also put a pin on Alexa purchases. For example, until my brother and my sister-in-law did this, my toddler nephew ordered a live bird, because he was talking about birds, and Alexa heard him say "buy bird." So anyway, put a pin on Alexa purchases that you might make with your voice. So don't end up like a bird like Mike and Carrie did. All right. You also might want to try a new search engine. Obviously, there are wonderful, wonderful features to Google Chrome, to Safari, but there's a really cool one called DuckDuckGo. It doesn't track your IP address, your user information, or your browsing history. It's just a straight up browsing engine. A lot of people have been using DuckDuckGo. It processes about 1.5 billion queries a day. And you can avoid the Google-based products that are pushed within a search. That is really, really nice. Obviously, you're still gonna get a million hits if you search for something very general. But you can avoid Google-based projects or products. And also, none of DuckDuckGo's information is shared with advertisers. And I'm sorry, folks, I can't completely say that about Chrome and Safari. But anyway, DuckDuckGo, give it a shot. Okay, I think we're doing good on time. Okay, here is also a random tip number 1. Here are 2 sneaky moves when it comes to installing apps on your phone. Make sure to do a quick run through on how you want that app, how that app sets up, how they contact you. So what you're going to see is a lot of apps saying, "I do not wish to be contacted." Check that box. That box is going to automatically be unchecked so they can take advantage of the fact to send you items. You have to opt out, basically. So check this box. "I do not wish to be contacted." Uncheck the following box. "I wish to be contacted with product offers and services that may be of interest to me." It's going to kind of come with an automatic check in it. Uncheck this box. So a lot of apps just set up the best possible way to send you more information, and you either have to opt in or opt out. So the next time you download an app, These are some moves that you're going to want to take a quick look at. All right, I hope that made sense. Ooh. Excuse me. Also, here's random tip number 2. If you have, especially with social media, any social media, you'll get an option. Here's just Pinterest. You'll get an option to log in with Facebook or continue with Google. You don't ever want to do either of those things because you don't want your Pinterest information or your Pinterest data bleeding into what you do on Facebook or Google. What if you've logged out of social media and it asks you to log back in with your email and your password. Don't sign in through social media and don't sign in through Google. So create a unique username and password for each account or app that you sign up for. Don't sign in with a social media account, because I guarantee you your pop-ups are going to explode. And anyone who might not be familiar with what a pop-up is, it's a pop-up ad, basically. All right, this is something that you're gonna wanna do on your tablet, your phone, and your computer at home. Delete your browsing history. Your browsing history is really good with one thing, keeping those cookies to make sure if you go back and search for something similar, it takes those cookies into account. However, all of that is browsing data. So you are gonna want to wipe your history as much as possible. I like to wipe my history every 3 or 4 days on my phone, and pretty much every other day on my computer. It depends on what device you're using the most. If you find that you're using your phone more than your laptop, I have friends that actually delete their browsing data every day. Again, this is a personal preference thing, but every few days on your devices, wipe your history. It also is going to help cut down on the ads directed to your browsing practices. So that's why you want to clear out your histories. All right. Okay, so in addition to your personal email, I'm not sure if any of you have already done this. Sometimes it's really good to create a junk email account, because you have so many retailers these days. When you go up to a store and you want to buy something, they ask you for your email. Number one, you can politely decline to give that. That is never a problem. You don't feel like you have to give a retailer your email. You absolutely do not have to. But say you shop at some of your favorite stores and you want to get notified about upcoming sales. What your junk email account will do is it will put and by junk email, I mean like your initials and then a long number, just something that doesn't include your name. And I'll go into more detail on that here in a little bit. But get a junk email account and just set it up through Gmail. For example, mine is Harry Potter related, character related at Gmail, 1234@gmail.com, because it separates the business from your personal. This will keep your existing email a little bit more personal. It's also going to help filter a lot of spam. And it's also to manage the public use of your email. If you're giving, you don't want to give your personal email out at the drop of a hat for any reason. It's really sort of compartmentalization here. It's to manage the public use of your personal email. It's also to maintain your online identity. I don't know how many of you might have a blog, or how many of you might write, or just get into the habit of utilizing different addresses for blogging or other professional ventures, especially if there's anyone who does has a side project, or a small business owner. Try try organizing different emails with different facets of your life. So again, that goes back to organizing different jobs, projects, or teams as well. And it acts as a backup to your main account. Say your main account does get hacked. You've got an emergency one you can quick use. But anyway, there are so many benefits to having a junk email account. It'll also really clear out the amount of junk you get in your personal one. So this is something that the Media Mentors highly, highly, highly recommend. All right, now let's talk about the importance of passwords and changing them. They should be longer and complex. You don't have to, get hieroglyphics here, but you want them to be a little bit longer and complex and not so simple. They should have at least 10 characters and have a combination of characters that include upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and even symbols. A lot of people kind of eschew having a piece of paper that includes passwords and usernames. This is a preference thing. I personally do this because I like having them on a piece of paper, but keep them at home. Don't take them everywhere with you. Also, don't use the same password for 2 or more devices. Try to get into the habit of using passwords. You don't use the same passwords for 2 or more devices. For example, what I like to do is with my phone, and you can do this any way you want, I assign a theme for setting passwords on my phone. So any password that I reset on here has to do with Monty Python. And forgive me for this next part, but all of the passwords that I have on my laptop or that I change on my laptop, they're British curse word related. Sorry, but they're British curse words related. And anything on my tablet has to do with the music that I listen to. All right, so again, themes per device actually helps you get into the habit of updating passwords. All right, here's a quick few do's. Change your password quarterly. Like your email password at minimum should be changed quarterly. Also, I just personally feel good about changing my banking usernames and passwords every single month. But that's me. Again, you do you. Use a mix of upper and lowercase characters. Use punctuation marks and symbols. Use themes, again. Use a password manager app. I am a huge believer in Dashlane. It is a wonderful username and password keeper, and oh my gosh, their security is mind-blowing. It may keep you may be a little bit nervous having an app control that much information, but holy smokes, guys, Dashlane security is second to none, and I've had wonderful luck with them. And also try small sayings like little chair. Instead of little chair, have the I be the number 1. So try even little small sayings. Okay, don't panic on this if any of you are in this boat. If you have to reassess and get a new email, don't use a part of your name. When my old Gmail account got hacked, it did have my full version of my full name in there. It was sarah.nesbitt73@gmail, but it got hacked several years ago. And one of the recommendations that an IT friend gave me was don't use your name. Use something a little bit conceptual. Mine is Harry Potter related, but don't use a part of your name in there. And include a few numbers as well. Don't have a favorite password for really important stuff. start swapping those things out. Obviously, this next one, don't share your password. And if you do, I mean, obviously share it with, you know, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, anyone that you're comfortable with, but you technically don't share your passwords. Never use a blank space. That is actually a backdoor. It's considered a backdoor or like a freebie or a wild card for a hacker. So don't use spaces. And obviously don't use alphabetical or number sequences as well. All right. Here is a wonderful resource that you can find online. It's a pretty extended to-do list, but if you just take one or two activities a month, you can get through this whole list. And this is Consumer Reports advice on protecting your privacy. And this takes you through a great to-do list. Granted, there are 66 of them, and that may seem a wee bit overwhelming, but this was absolutely excellent. It also really gave me a framework on where to start looking for different privacy settings that you might not know about, but this was excellent. Also, we've got some further reading at the library. I just recently read The Art of Invisibility by Kevin Mitnick, and it's The World's Most Famous Hacker Teaches You How to Be Safe in the Age of Big Brother and Big Data. This was fascinating, you guys. Also, The Age of Surveillance Capitalism by Shoshana Zuboff. I'll be surprised. It was a New York Times notable book of the year, but this one is going to win some sort of award. I will warn you, it is about 3 inches thick and it's about 3 feet depressing. But it was, I could only get through part of it before, before abandoning it because I was just so overwhelmed, but you're gonna get a lot of information out of it. I'll be amazed if it doesn't win a prize. All right, so just a quick bullet point checklist of everything that we've sort of talked about tonight. Sign up for the no-call lists. Play with the privacy settings on your phone. Also, guys, don't feel that you have to sit down with your device or your phone, especially your phone, and do this in one shot. That is so overwhelming, and I don't recommend that at all. Go in stages. Do your e-commerce apps one day. Break up your social media class after dinner, you know, for a few weeks. Go in stages on this. It's going to be a lot less overwhelming. Update your passwords. And something else I just wanted to briefly touch on, try Googling yourself to see your digital footprint. And in the Media Mentor's opinion, people should be Googling themselves once a quarter just to see what your online presence is like. That boils down to a lot when it comes to privacy. So Google yourself every couple of months or so. No, it's not a vanity thing. It is a self-care thing. All right. Thank you so much for being here. You guys got this. And thanks again for being here tonight. Thanks. Big mad props to Kristen again. And please go back to our website at poudrelibraries.org. We've got tons more tech tips there. And there are a lot of more projects that you can do in the comfort of your home through the library. And we are about to add quite a few more. But anyway, check out our website, and I'm just going to sort of open it up for questions from Kristen now. Thanks for listening.
All right, so I'm looking for questions in the question and answer or in the chat, and have one. Is there a way to block text messages other than blocking the number it came from?
No, you have to do through the number that it came from. But if you are in your phone and you get like an ad text, I've been seeing more of those pop up recently. Go to your phone's edit feature, or like the way that you get into delete. It'll ask you if you want to delete numbers in the future from that number. You can do it that way too. Good question.
I often find too that even if I get a text, if I reply if I know it's a legitimate number, if you reply stop, so say from a store, you reply stop, you'll get off of that. If it's something random, I actually recommend not replying at all. If it's something that you don't recognize. Sometimes people are searching to see if this is an actual real number. And yeah, so.
Same with robocalls on that.
Yeah. Another question, can I have a lame password for non-critical sites? Can a hacker get into my bank through my Spanish learning app?
Can you do that first part of the question?
Yes. Can I have a lame password for non-critical sites?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the second part is, can a hacker get into my bank through my Spanish learning app?
Technically, that is possible. It is possible, but improbable. Hackers go for money first. Hackers really don't go for education for obvious reasons. So I don't think you need to worry about a combination of an educational app leaking into your banking, even if it's on the same device. The hackers really go after where they can do the most damage, and they do the most damage with money.
Okay, great, thanks. Another question is, will you send us the slides to this presentation? And yes, I believe we can go ahead and we'll figure a way to put those on our website. And if you'd like, we can send them in an email as well.
Yep, we'll look into that.
And then another question, should we uninstall old apps, then install again with the recommended privacy settings?
No, you don't have to uninstall and reinstall. You can just go into that specific app and look at the privacy settings and just reassess your privacy settings from there. You don't have to uninstall and reinstall.
Great, thank you.
Great question. Great question.
Yeah. And I have a question from Karen. She has raised her hand. I'm going to allow her to talk. So, oh, wait. Karen, let's see. Can you unmute yourself, Karen? There you go.
Okay. I want to find out for the robocalls, once you've blocked a call and they just keep calling on a different number, so it doesn't really help to block them. Is there some way to block before they call? I am on a do not call list, but I still get 5 to 6 calls a day.
Yep. And that's a great question. And unfortunately, you're not going to like my answer. There is no way to sort of preemptively block potential spammers. You can with the apps on your cell phone that I recommended, but you technically can't do this with a landline. And are you talking about your cell phone or your landline or both?
Cell phone.
Okay. The way to preemptively block is add an additional anti-robocalling app. Any of those ones that I mentioned earlier, they will seriously curtail what you're getting. I like Kaya.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Did someone else have their hand raised? Oh, nope. Great
Actually,
question.
it looks like Mohan does. Let me go ahead and ask. Let's see, Mohan. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Hi, Mohan.
My number has been there on the do not call list for a while. So, but the number of spam calls are very high. So
Okay.
Do I need to re-register it?
No, once you're on there, you are on there and you're never dropped from those lists. Are you getting these phone calls on your cell phone or a landline?
Both.
On
Mostly
both?
on the landline.
I would add another app to your cell phone, and I would maybe go to the FCC's website and figure out if there's a way you can curtail them for a landline. Because I've focused pretty much everything on a cell phone today, just because just of the subject matter. But there are ways that I believe the FCC can give you tips and tricks on how to include your landline on there. So I would actually suggest going to the FCC's website for and just search for tips, robocalling tips and landlines.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Great question.
Okay, and I've got another. And I just wanted to point out too that while Sarah was talking, I checked to see if I had done the Colorado no call and the do not call, and it responded that I had done it in 2007. So it still
Great.
had me on there from 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great. So quick question, would you please repeat the name of your favorite blocking app?
Hiya.
So I'm just gonna type that
That's
in
not
there.
sass. Hiya.
All right.
No.
And then another question, I was recently notified that my data had appeared on the dark web. I changed my email password, but is there anything else I should do?
Change every single password everywhere else.
Okay.
I'm sorry. If you ever want a one-on-one with that, I can help tackle that too. That's got to be really discouraging.
All right, and I'm not seeing any more questions at the moment.
Great questions tonight, you guys.
Yeah.
In fact, that uninstall, install one was so good. I think I might include that in the next time I do this. It's one of the reasons why I've missed these classes. I learned something from my attendance all the time too.
And we are recording this, so once we've got this, it's ready to go and edited, we will put it up on the web as well.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming tonight, and I hope we'll be able to get more classes going for you as fall rolls out. And just have a great night. And thanks again.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Kristen.
All right, thanks, Sarah.